Hello everyone, welcome to Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. My name is Scott Carney and I'm here to bring my thoughts to the breaking news tonight that it looks very much like Russell Martin will be appointed as the next Rangers manager. It's been broke now by variable sources, reported by variable sources now, including Sky Sports and the likes, around the appointment. So I thought I would come on and give my thoughts on the appointment of the next man in the dugout for Rangers. Chris Jack initially broke the story on the Rangers Review. Just quickly, he said Russell Martin is set to clinch a return to Ibrox and become the new boss of Rangers before the weekend. The Rangers Review understands the former Scotland defender has agreed terms on a 3-year deal to succeed Philip Clement in the dugout. Martin will be unveiled in the coming days as Rangers begin a new era on the park. So, yes, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm overjoyed by the appointment. Overjoyed, but I'm underwhelmed by the appointment. Out of all the names that were linked to Russell Martin, was probably the last one that I thought really stood a chance of getting the job. It's safe to say when the rumours been floated around that I wouldn't say the majority, or if any, of the Rangers support really wanted to say that this was really the guy that they ultimately wanted. Does look like it came down to between David Ancelotti and Russell Martin for the appointment of the job, but it is Martin that seems to have won the race, and he's now going to be the manager. Hello everybody in the chat as well. Before I go any further, nice to see you all. And again, I knew you would be probably wanting to hear from us, so I thought I'll come on and give my thoughts on it. Initially, honestly, I'm like, right, okay, you're trying to always, as you know, always try and be a wee bit glass half full, but I also like to be completely honest about things. Your initial reaction is one of being underwhelmed. And look, my cards on the table right now, you all know that I wanted Gerrard. As soon as Gerrard was possibly linked to come back, you knew I wanted him because I'm a fanboy. I've never had the fact that I am. But then it was David Ancelotti, which again wouldn't have came without its risks, and Russell Martin is certainly one that I put in a bit of a risky category. The reason for that is he's been quite rigid before in terms of the way that he manages, and I'm taking him as a football player completely out the equation, because I don't really think that ultimately matters. I honestly don't think that's a cause for concern because of how he was as a football player, or how he was for us, at least as a football player. So I'm not going to be too overly like examining his playing career to see or to try and judge that, and somehow that's the way that it would be as a Rangers manager. Ultimately, it's the one that the board have decided to go with. The new board have decided to go with, and he is the guy that's going to be the next Rangers manager. I think the Rangers support, as I tend to know it, I don't think any of appointment would really have made every Rangers supporter happy. I think the appointment of the next manager was always going to receive criticism from somewhere, absolutely from somewhere, no matter who it may have been. So I don't think there was a perfect candidate out there, but I don't think Russell Martin was at the top of many fans' heads, many fans' lists for being the next Rangers manager. So it's a confusing appointment, yeah, probably. I'm not going to lie. It's a wee bit one where I'm left kind of scratching my head, and I'm just being completely honest about it. Does that say that I'm already writing the guy off? Absolutely not. Ultimately, what's going to need to happen is that he's going to need to be backed properly now. So the board have made this decision. The new owners have made this decision. As long and drawn out as it seems to have been, they've come to the conclusion that it's going to be Russell Martin. We don't know the ins and outs about Ancelotti, about Gerrard, about whatever, but whoever was even interviewed for the job, there might be different things that some didn't want to come. Was he first choice? It's something that we'll probably never know. I don't think they'll ever come out and say that he was fifth choice, for example, because then it doesn't look very good on Martin himself or the club as a whole. But he's going to need to be backed properly now. So we're bringing in a guy that the club will know, and the board will know that it's not went down too well with a kind of vast amount of Rangers fans. The various polls that you've seen in various sites, everybody was pretty much no thank you to the appointment of Russell Martin. when he was at Southampton, he had success. He did. He had success to an extent. I don't mean fully. Obviously, he kind of got found out the higher they moved up. He did kind of get found out, and he did become quite rigid and quite strict to a formation, which again is a wee bit that causes me concern. But he is a very possession based, but probably not for possession's sake, and he likes to have a very, very high press, which is something I think every Rangers fan wants to see. In Scottish football in particular, we want to see high pressing football because that's what we should be doing. We should be dominating games from the front, on the front foot, and not letting teams breathe, and we don't do that enough. But that's the kind of style that he does tend to follow. It's the trend of football the style of play that he would like to do. It's going to be key for Russell Martin now, and in terms of it being the underwhelming appointment for me, I think with the majority of fans, him not being a first choice for pretty much anyone, then it doesn't give him too much of a grace period. That's that I'm kind of a bit concerned about, is that I don't think he'll have a lot of time to really find his feet or to start getting success from very early on, really very, very early on. I think he has a massive job in front of him now, really, to win over, maybe not so. I suppose we need to wait and see what he has to say for himself, and what the board have to say about the appointment before we make a full assessment on it. But I had such a reaction to it tonight, and we don't always kind of come on and do not breaking news pods, because we're not in the know or anything, but the news that comes out, we don't tend to come on and really do podcasts like that. But tonight I was like, this isn't sitting overly right with me. But again, in saying that, as a support, we don't have a choice just now. If Russell Martin is to be the next Rangers manager, then we have to give him all the chance that we can. Could be a revelation, could be a genius move, could work out brilliantly, it could not. But again, name one manager that we were linked with that there wasn't that risk with, that there wasn't the risk that it might not work, that it might not turn out the way that we want it to be. So yeah, overall on the appointment, as I say, I'm a wee bit underwhelmed by it, but it will be critical now for the board to get it correct in terms of who they recruit, who we put in place as his backroom staff. And I've seen people saying there's been Naismith linked, there's been Maurice Ross linked. I don't know if any of that's true. We're going to need to wait and see who he announces. I think he's bringing his old assistant up from Southampton, as far as I'm aware. So that, again, we'll need to wait and see what's true about that. But it's one that could be, I say, genius stroke or something that the board are going to need to live by. I want it to be, no matter what, it's going to need to be a success, because we can't continue going down this sacking a manager after X amount of months in charge. He's really going to have to hit the ground running here, and it's going to be critical now, critical for him to get the recruitment correct. Is it in terms of the way that it's going down, and I'm just quickly glancing over some of your comments, I can't see many people that are overly happy about the appointment, and I can't say that I can really blame people for it. It's not what I thought we all were going to be looking at in terms of the new manager. When you weigh up against other managers, then Ancelotti would have been a risk himself, but because it was the more head coach thing, I thought, well, he's been a coach, he's been the head coach for his dad for quite a considerable amount of time. He probably knows what he's doing in that regard. So I was thinking, but was he going to be able to be the figurehead for that? So he's got pros and cons in himself. Would he have got more grace period? It's hard to say. We're also desperate for success now that it would be difficult to say if he would have got a longer grace period than Martin. But the fact that Martin has been here as a player, was not very successful as a player, and he wasn't a player that left with very fond memories among the Rangers support. That's the bit that kind of confuses me with the appointment. I'm not fully understanding where the board are coming from, but again, this is before we've heard anything from the board, so it's hard to be able to give a full assessment of things until we've heard from the board and we've heard from Martin himself. But either way, it does look very much so like he will be the next Rangers manager. We're going to need to see what's said now. We all know the new era is here, and the new era looks like it's going to be Russell Martin as the new Rangers manager, and it's going to be a trying time for everybody. I think it's going to be a kind of hold on to your seats. I'm very much at the point where I'm going, right, it's not the guy that I would have picked, but I'm still going, well, we're going to need to back him. And the board and the strategy and Thelwell and everything that we're putting into place now all has to come together to be able to give him the best possible chance of succeeding. I wish him absolutely nothing but the best as Rangers manager. I want him to be successful. I want him to be successful because I want my team to be successful, and that's will always be the be all and end all of me being a Rangers fan. I'm not really bothered who the Rangers manager is. If he's winning things, then brilliant. That's all I want to see. However, when you dig things a little bit deeper and you come into the kind of more personal touch, I suppose, the more kind of scrutinising touch on the appointment, it is one that's going to leave a lot of people asking questions. I think it's going to leave a lot of fans really wondering why Russell Martin was the guy that came to the top of the pile, as we were led to believe of the people that we were speaking to. So yeah, the official appointment looks like it's going to happen within the next, I don't know, couple of days, I would imagine, if not tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, because of just how well it's been kind of spread tonight. I don't think it's too far away from being officially appointed, but I think it's time to, as hard as it may be for someone, I do understand this, is just try and keep the head about it, try and see the positive in it for when we can, when we officially hear what they have to say, what the board have to say, what Russell Martin has to say, and really judge it from then. It's all about recruitment more than it is anything else now. We've been left with a stagnant squad for far too long. That we've already started to see changes in that regard, as well as a whole load of youth players also moving out. So it has to be a new era, and pretty much all of our thinking as well, as hard as that is for us. And I'm talking to myself probably as well at the same time here. Don't get me wrong, I'm more trying to convince myself that this is probably the right thing to do, or might be the right thing to do. It's a difficult one to try and be really excited about. What it is for me is it's the appointment that we were looking forward to in terms of who the Rangers manager was going to be. Is it the guy we all thought it was going to be? Probably not, but it's still the next step that we need to be taking in terms of getting ourselves back to where we need to get. So I suppose in that regard, I'm looking at it, right, that's that decision made, so let's get going now. We've got a lot of recruitment to get done. We've got a lot of fixing to do. We've got a lot of things in the club from top to bottom that need fixed, which the new owners will be very much part of, and very much part of the running of this. But I'm saying, from Chris Jack's review, Chris Jack from Rangers Review, it does look like the board have signed this off now. He has agreed terms, and Russell Martin will be the next Rangers manager. I know this is never good about recording on my own. I'll quickly skim through some of your comments and see if I can bring a few of them up. A few of them are quite funny. But yeah, Steve O'Gers, yeah, we just need to get behind them, but that's a huge pressure. It really is. Yes, sorry, and I will. Curry, thank you very much, mate. I very much do appreciate that. I mentioned it earlier in the last podcast that we're on, that a guy that I knew was a friend, a neighbour. He's sadly been found in Portugal, which is really sad. But Curry, thanks very much, mate. Very, very sad news. Gordon has put that it looks real now. Honestly, not sure what to think. If I'm being honest, none of the opinions majorly excited me. Guess we'll just have to hope and wait and see. Yeah, and again, Gordon, I think that's pretty spot on. I think there's so many questions around it, and even Wick Warrior, is Nick Russell Martin the best we can do? Maybe he is. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he is. Maybe he's going to come here and what he did down Southampton, maybe it will translate up here. Maybe it will work better. It's one of those ones that we're going to need to wait and see. We don't really know what style even Gerrard would have played when he came back, even what style David Ancelotti would have chose to come back, because Carlo, his dad, he's played various ways with the teams that he's had. He's never really stuck to an out-and-out formation or an out-and-out philosophy of football, if you like. But Russell Martin does seem to be quite rigid in his philosophy of football, so that is a difficult one to try and piece together about why is it being chose to be him. Is it the best we can do? I hope so. I hope he is the best that we can do, and I hope that he's an absolute masterstroke. I think we have to try as hard as we can, no matter how underwhelming the name might be, is to remain half full and to support him and to back him. You never know what he's going to do. He could come in and completely change things from top to bottom. He could come in and have a stormer. It could go south. But I think ultimately, as I said, that we're at the point now where we've made the other decision that we needed in terms of this new era, this new takeover, the new strategy. And I'm at the point where I'm like, right, it's Russell Martin. Let's go then. All the best to him. Literally all the best. Couldn't wish him anything more than the best. And let's go now. Let's go now. If you're going to be the next Rangers manager, then so be it. We now have to do everything else that needs to be done in order to try and make you and ultimately our team, our club, a success again. So it's the next step. It is the next step. So that's it. Curry's also said, as far as the caliber of manager we have, what are the layers going to look like? As I say, it's all these unknowns. I think it is the unknowns, and I think because of the way that it ended for him at Southampton, it's maybe left a wee bit of more question marks around the appointment. But I think at this point we have to look at it or take everything as a kind of fresh start for everyone, including him, and back him. It's going to be more so about his recruitment as well. You've got to remember, like, I don't believe that Philippe Clement is a poor manager, by the way. I've never thought that. I've never thought Clement is poor. I've always thought there's something about him. I'm not defending him. I think he lost his way way before they was actually they pulled the trigger on him. But you still look at the team that was left behind when Barry Ferguson came in, there was still the same problems running throughout the team. So now the recruitment, Martin has to get, and I know it's a footballing cliche, but he has to get his own team in, he has to get his own players in, and he has to put his philosophy down quick. It has to be clear what he's trying to do. He has to get results, and he's going to need to get them quick, because there is no grace period, even just by looking through us guys, this community that we've got here, looking through what you've all said. There's not many of you that are kind of jumping over the moon regarding this appointment. So there's a long way to go for him. There is honestly a long way to go for him. And if it's Martin, let's get behind him. It's as simple as that. Let's get behind him. If it's Martin, it is Russell Martin. We all know it is Russell Martin. There's no way it's been spread so far this way if it's not. So we'll be back, as I say, with more. I just wanted to come on and kind of clear my thoughts about everything and kind of try and understand where I'm at. And I think you'll see I'm on the fence with the appointment, but I'm still at the point where I go, this is the new Rangers manager, right? So we're going to need to back him. As I say, there's nothing that we can do about it until I want him to prove every one of us wrong that are already doubting him. I want him to be a massive success, because ultimately our club will be a success. But ultimately, the biggest decision now, the biggest step we need to take now is rebuilding this squad, and the board are really going to need to do their business, and they're really going to need to help Russell Martin out as much as they can, because the guy's got a hell of a job on his hands, because you can already see it amongst the reaction amongst Rangers fans that it's not the appointment we all wanted. But I think it's now important just to go, right, it's not what we wanted, but we have to give him everything now. We have to give him everything in order to try and make him a success. I say I wish him nothing but the best. I really do wish him nothing but the best. That will do me for tonight. I say we'll be back as soon as the appointment's officially made as well. I just wanted to come on and give my initial thoughts on it. And obviously I'll be joining more about the lads at that point. Thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. I say it will be announced probably tomorrow or Friday. We will be back anyway with Club live either tomorrow or Friday, depending on when the announcement is made. So yes, thank you for tuning in to me tonight. I really do appreciate it. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. I look forward to reading more about your thoughts in the comments, and I'll sure to be getting involved in that as well with your comments, and we'll kind of bounce things back and forth off each other, I think, in the comments, the way that this news has went down anyway. But yes, I'll speak to you all later in the week. We are Club at 22 the Rangers podcast, and this is for Greg. Cheers, everybody.